Alright, hello to all my guys, gals, and non-binary pals out there across the electrical ocean. This is Jazzman back for a doozy of a game here between Alakhami playing full faction Forglar Swamp and TinyDragon playing full faction Underdepths. Two very prolific players. Here we've got Ferk Void Mage out for Alakhami, capping that first font of his. And then on TinyDragon's side, we've got Fire Giant. Not something I'm used to seeing, really. He's 71 Nora, but I've always thought his stats were really good for that price. I mean, he's only 9 base damage, but you get the full faction Underdepth bonus, plus Hunter Walker thrown in there, and if he's on lava, he gets more. I mean, he's still a decent beater. It looks like Tiny's also gone with tough too, so he's basically just a big guy running and hit people with axe kind of champion. Almost like an Underdepth's version of a dwarf. And he sort of looks like one too. I mean, look at that magnificent beard of his. I mean, damn, that's a dwarf beard if I've ever seen one. So we've got Minotaur Stoker out for Tiny. Nice initiative deploy. Will allow him to cap that font on his next turn, so a turn earlier than normal. We've got Ferk Mimic out here for Alakhami. And if you've watched any of Alakhami's previous Ferk games, and you know that Ferk Mimic is really useful for that 64 Nora price tag. Comes in with pretty decent stats, depending on what's out, with the Mimicked abilities. And then tough 2 as well, so you can basically get like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 defense on him, plus the tough. Sometimes you'll see him with tough 3, but that's... Even with rank 2 tough, he can be really efficient for that price. And then power attack 1 is just sort of... It's just sort of there, just sort of to give him a cheaper price tag. You don't really need the upgraded ranks because of his mimic damage. We've got Ferk Mastermind out, so this is a full Ferk deck, presumably from Alakhami here. Interesting. And Ferk are an interesting theme now. They've got more going for them than the usual just sabotage, slam, psychic shenanigans. We've got some actual good synergy now with the buffed Mastermind. And there's something that needs fixing. Next time Slugbait goes into the code, Mastermind actually has the old description of if you have 10 or less Nora, then you get the buffs. But it's actually 35 or less Nora now, which is a lot more reasonable, and was a big help to the theme. And it looks like he's also got, he's basically just a standard good support AoE buffer. Got Healing Mind, he's got improved speed, aid defense, and stuff. So notably, actually, Void Mage's Slam is going to be a lot less useful here versus the Fire Giant than normal on this map. Because normally with Void Mage and Slam, you basically, you knock people through the lava and it deals a ton of extra damage, but Fire Giant, of course, having Lava Walker and Domain even, that will be a lot less effective for him. Doesn't care one bit about being knocked into the lava. In fact, that's his home turf he's defending right here. This middle font. God, do I ever hate playing against Savage Tundra on this map. Jeez, like you can't avoid Gale Forest, no matter how hard you try, no matter how good a player you are. Unless you have like Sand Veil or something that overwrites the lava, you're gonna get galed through it, and it's such a pain in the ass to have to position around. But thank God neither one of them is playing Savage Tundra. So we've got Deep Elf Summoner along with a few imps as her retinue. Invigorate 2, Sonic Aura, that's probably the standard build. And we've got Imp Deceiver, actually. Newly buffed Imp Deceiver, probably a little bit overtuned with that range 4 voices in their head. I could definitely see it going down to 3, or maybe even 2 like it was before, now that he has actually decent upgrades. But he's a strong champion. Like, you can stealth him up, then relocate him in, or invigorate him in, or, just mischief him into range for that voices. And it's basically cast domination at that point, right? Unless there's, Iron Will champions or Prestige champions around. And, domination is a 50 Nora spell, so that should tell you how powerful the ability is. Imp Deceiver can do other stuff, too. He's got Scapegoat, which is a hilarious ability in some cases. And then, Minotaur Stoker is just his usual efficient self. Not quite as efficient as before, but he does still bring Purifying Flames for the odd cleanse or dispel option. And there goes that Deceiver stealthing up, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, or I guess we can since he's stealthed. Ferk Mind Shredder, meanwhile, on Alakhami's side, also a buffed champion in the recent revisions patches. Now sporting paralytic feedback as well as improved stats. You can also take Void Shield, although that does make him a little bit more expensive. Paralytic feedback is also good because it has synergy with your other Ferk stuff. Ferk Mask, giving paralytic strike to your range, being the key offender there. Then we've got Shockbow. Shockbow, also a really nice looking champion now, and it looks like Tiny's just gonna sit that beefy fire giant in the font. He's only been taking what, 4 damage per hit? Yeah, 4 damage for each hit from that Void Mage, because he's on the lava, you see. And he's also got Hunter Walker and Tough, so that's not very much damage. I'm guessing Tiny's just gonna play it safe for the moment. Alakhami, not really a player you want to underestimate, even if you're someone of Tiny's caliber. Just gonna have that summoner sit back and invigorate new deploys, bring them in faster, and maybe we'll see this young imp go over this way to try and contest with a relic. It looks like that Void Mage has had enough of throwing his little psychic bolts uselessly into that face of that fire giant, and has decided to now throw them at the Stoker. Slamming the Stoker away, keeping him out of set of blaze range, fire attack range, things like that. And he might decide to put that Soul Thief in the font, or maybe even paralyze the fire giant. He's feeding AP to it with Energy Thief. Is he going to try for a double tap, or maybe an attack and then a paralyze onto the giant? He's feeding it AP for some reason. Also, that's another thing you can do with Mind Shredder, since he doesn't really need to spend AP on anything significant. You can use him to feed the Energy Thief of your Soul Thieves. We've got Ferk Sensoret coming down. He's decent. I mean, it would be nice if he was just a little bit cheaper, seeing as how Mimic sort of fills the same kind of role, but Sensoret does bring more damage if you can get a champion on cooldown, thanks to Vindictive. So it looks like Alakhami does go in for the Paralyze and then immediately backs off, since he knows that if there's any fire damage coming down onto that fire giant, he will be cleansed. But this does have the effect of taking away a little bit of the fire giant's AP, because Paralyze saps AP at the beginning of turn. But yeah, let's talk about Shockbow for a minute. I really like the new Shockbow. I think it's sort of exactly what Underdepths has been wanting all this time. Just a decent mid-range, mid-costed champion. I mean, 5 range is great. Got Jolt for a little damage over time on top of decent damage. Yeah, it only gets half the faction buff, but still 13 damage plus a dot on a ranged champion, that's really good. And it comes with dodge, leap for some nice 7 speed action, and even Hunter flying in for niche scenarios. So yeah, it's a really nice champion now. It's a little squishy, but it does give Underdepths another option besides, the usual Grimlick, Cinderpede, Demonologist shebang that Underdepths tends to run. I mean, you can still run those champions, it's just Shockbow is a nice little shake-up to the meta. So Tiny was trying to sneak that imp over to the font, but Alakhami predicted that and just shattered it out of existence. Now, I'm wondering where that Deceiver is. Invigorate on the Summoner is up next turn. So if I know Tiny, I mean, it should be obvious what he's planning. Like, it'd be the same scenario as anyone would be planning, really. Just invigorate your Deceiver in, and then cliff, right? You just possess something and then walk it off the cliff. Maybe even get an attack in for spite. But yeah, I'm thinking like the Soul Thief getting cliffed, or maybe even the Void Mage if he can make it up that far. Cliff one of those two, and then send that Fire Giant in, just tanking up, and have Shockbow come in from behind. It's probably what he's thinking, but it looks like Alakhami's trying to get his detection down to keep that from happening. Ferk Infiltrator. The Ferk Infiltrator, I mean, he's alright. I can see why people run him, or at least I can see why they used to run him. Or, the Sabotage Psychic. But now that Ferk isn't so heavily reliant on, like, Psychic Amp, or, doing things purely with psychic damage, it might be worth it to explore other options for the full deck in itself. Looks like Alakhami is desperately trying to keep the important champions from being cliffed. Keeping that Soul Thief well out of chasm range, and also keeping the Void Mage well out of chasm range. So he knows what's coming. I mean, if Tiny wants, he can cliff the... no, he can't quite cliff the Mind Shredder because it has 0 AP. This is actually an elevation difference that Tiny wouldn't be able to walk the champion over. He'd have to go around this way. But another thing you can do to prevent this sort of thing is just engage your champions, like keeping them like right next to each other. Because if you do that, then as soon as they become possessed, they'll also become engaged, and they won't be able to disengage on the same turn. But it looks like Tiny's making his move here. Not quite able to get onto the lava for the bonus damage, but does get 2 hits on the Mind Shredder thanks to Invigorate. And he doesn't quite have the kill with the Shock Bow. He's going to get 17. That will leave the Mind Shredder with 1. I wonder if maybe a Head of Asarius will come out here to finish the kill. He puts the banner here. I guess playing around any potential font eruptions on Alakhami's side. Ah, yes, but the Sonic Aura. I forgot he took Sonic Aura upgrade. So he is going to get the kill with the Sonic Aura. And meanwhile, maybe we'll see Void Mage threaten contest on Tiny's top font. That'd be funny. And I'm thinking Alakhami will sort of have to hold off until he gets the Infiltrator over here for detection. But I mean, even then, like even just because he has detection out doesn't actually stop, Tiny from cliffing anything. It just makes it a little more difficult for him to get to the important stuff, because he can't just slip by unseen and possess the backline. But just the potential threat range on that Deceiver is huge at this point, with the increased range on voices in their head. But Censoret gonna get desperately angry now that one of his allies has been slain. The shonen anime protagonist defending his friends here, granting multi-attack 3. We've got Infiltrator leaping up, trying to keep everyone in detection radius. And maybe we'll see some slam here. So he is doing the thing that I said. Censoret does have Iron Will thanks to Bravery, so he's safe from the possession. Mimic could still be possessed and cliffed. I mean, a Psychic Blast here on Summoner, so 18 damage. I'm guessing he was maybe going for the Fire Giant to try and get a kill, but the Imp Deceiver with Designate Scapegoat actually prevents the targeting of anything but the Summoner. So also doing a Psionic Storm here to take away Fire Giant's defensive abilities. That's quite a bit of Nora he invested to try and kill that Fire Giant. I mean, he does end up killing it with the hit here. Why is anyone else just seeing that? Is anyone else seeing that, or is that just me? A constant pop up. So anyway, we've got the kill from the Void Mage, doing a little knockback into this little lava cone here, and then setting the Mimic back. As a flea, he's got to keep Bravery on that Censoret, otherwise he might get cliffed here. Should try and move the Mimic like one space this way, so that he has Bravery up. So there's a Lotus Altar preventing return damage. Nope, he doesn't. Alright, so Tiny could potentially cliff the Censoret. Well, actually, no, I forgot about the elevation difference. Yeah, it's fine. Actually, the Deceiver is all the way over here, and he does a Possess on the Soul Thief. So I guess we'll see Soul Thief walk through the lava. Man, I forgot about that elevation difference, and I even mentioned it the first time. It just shows how careless I am. But it gets the cliff anyway over on this side after the Mischief. And the Energy Thief, he actually used Alakhami's Energy Thief against him by feeding it AP with Summoner. So he does get the cliff, and he does it in a way that he can maybe get the Nora Globe here with a summon later on. So very efficient planning there by Tiny. And then Deceiver stealthing up again, biding his time for another possess kill. So sort of rough. Tiny lost his Fire Giant, but he got the Soul Thief in return. Probably a good trade, as he also baited out 2 spells from Alakhami. And Psychic Blast is 40 Nora now, I believe. So that's quite a bit of Nora. just to kill the fire giant and then lose his soul thief in return for his trouble. But he is Forglar Swamp, and as we all know, Forglar Swamp has infinite Nora thanks to their 6 Nora per turn bonus. We've got Censoret chilling in the font under that Lotus Altar protection. Lotus Altar really nice, 20 HP for 20 Nora. So you got 1-to-1 ratio there. And then the shielded effect for all your champions in addition to weaken spells. Weaken spells really strong effect, but then shielded on top of it is awesome. So really hampering the effectiveness of spells here. And Underdepth's meta these days usually tends to rely a lot on spells, single target or otherwise, to get their kills. And wow, Tiny deploying a Deep Elf Masochist. Man after my own heart. Now, I really love Masochist. I try to run it in Underdepths whenever I play Underdepths, which isn't too often, but I really like her. I really like her style. And no, it's not because I identify with her in any way. Certainly not. It's just because I like tanky champions. I like big bunguses that just run in and never die. And Masochist is certainly one of them. Tough 2 Masochist, her signature ability, makes her deceptively tanky for that price, especially considering her natural 0 defense, which gets buffed up with Calcify and then Reflection. So whenever you attack her, you take a little bit of damage in return. So sort of, I guess you could say she's more of a sadomasochist. We've also got a second Deep Elf Summoner coming out for more Invigorate, more auras, and more summons. I'm liking the look of Tiny's deck here. He's running the champions that Underdepths players don't seem to like very much. And by that I mean the supports and the tanks, rather than the big beefy beaters. I mean, he did have Fire Giant in there, so I guess being a little bit more experimental than usual, thanks to the patches that have been rolled out progressively. So we've got a reverberating blast here onto the first summoner, as well as the shock bow, and he actually sort of did that in the wrong order. He attacked into dodge before the reverb. So a little bit of a misstep there. He could have gotten the kill, but instead he had to wait a turn before he gets it. Unless he deploys another pinger to hit that shock bow. I mean, he could get the kill now, but I mean, if it's stunned, you could probably afford to wait. Tiny's already used 1 sacrifice, so maybe we'll see a retribution kill on that Firk Censoret. So the problem is with the summoner also stunned, I don't really see a way for Tiny to get to make any progress here. The Imp Deceiver can't quite make it into contest, not even with like a Price of Victory relic drop situation. Well, he could do that. Price of Victory, drop a relic, but I mean that seems a little overkill. I mean, Mastermind could maybe go back there, drop a relic himself. And then Infiltrator would be right behind him, so I don't know if Tiny would get much out of that. But he is going to throw Masochist in there. And now we'll see the Masochist in action. And what got backfired there? A Split Personality backfired. So Tiny attempting to cast Split Personality on something. I mean, the Lotus Altar is still here, so I don't know what he would be casting it on. I guess he would be casting it on the Infiltrator, since everything else is shielded, but yeah, I feel like another deploy, or at least maybe saving Nora for another deploy, would have been better there. I don't think Split Personality on Infiltrator would have done much for him. I mean, he's gonna lose the shock bow anyway, and he can lose the summoner to the Mastermind and the Void Mage attacks. But it looks like Alakhami going to run that Mimic straight up to Tiny's top font. So imagine if he had it deployed up there. But I guess he didn't have the Nora. He did deploy the Summoner and the Masochist in the same turn quite recently. Looks like we've got a Mind Caller with initiative coming in, distracting that Deceiver, preventing any Scapegoat Voices shenanigans. There we go. The Masochist dealing more damage to the Mastermind than it takes in return. Deals 4 damage, then Masochist deals 4 back. And there's a little spatial dysplasia on those 3 champions, dealing some AoE damage. There's going to be the kill from the Infiltrator. Yeah, see, at that point, like, he could have used these champions to hit the summoner instead of wasting, well, maybe not wasting hits, but putting hits into the masochist. So she's gonna take what, 5 hits here? 2 from the mastermind, the spatial dysplasia, which I mean, I guess kind of counts, and then 2 from the censoret. And she's still at half HP, or a little bit more than half HP actually. Standing strong, and it looks like Imp Deceiver. I mean, at this point, Tiny sort of has to contest because he's moved his Imp Deceiver all the way over here. So, I mean, he was going to contest regardless of what Alakhami deployed. And Tiny is not the type of person to surrender just because the odds are stacked against him. We should probably see this game going on for a little bit longer at least. We've got Summon Imp coming down, or a young Imp for TinyDragon. And Masochist, realizing she's probably outmatched versus these 4 champions, decides to retreat. Though it wouldn't surprise me if Alakhami could facilitate a kill next turn somehow. And there we go, there's the late game payoff. Maxarek coming down. 94 Nora, Big Daddy of Underdips. Tiny choosing to upgrade Set Ablaze and Portal. So Maxarek going to start getting sacrificial power stacks. Problem here is that I don't know, I feel like Tiny really going to get as many kills as he thinks he will? Because that's the only way he's going to get summons, is if he gets sacrificial power kills. But he has to kill Alakhami's champions for that, and I don't really see that happening anytime soon. So the Mind Caller dropping the banner, getting another hit onto that Deceiver for Distract, and I mean, if Deceiver is distracted, it's not really doing anything. It's just gonna sort of float around until it dies. He can't really, like, Tiny can't really chase that Mind Caller because he's just gonna run into Mastermind and whatever else Alakhami decides to deploy at that font. So Alakhami wisely keeping the pressure on now that he's gotten... Wait. How did he get this top font? Okay, I missed... Man, that's pretty bad. I actually missed that completely. I had my camera panned all the way down here the entire game. If someone in the comments can point out when that font was captured, you get bonus internet points. I did not notice that at all. So Tiny actually has this font captured with something. Was it another Deceiver that he deployed? What did he deploy there? Maybe it was an actual Imp. Like a Shadow Spawned Imp. I have no idea. So Tiny actually has this font. It's probably an altered lemur, I bet. Yeah, it's got to be a lemur, because there's no way he deployed something, stealthed it, and then I missed that whole thing. It must have been a Shadow Spawned lemur. So we're going to see a flood here from Alakhami. Anyway, what was I even saying? Alakhami going to decide to keep the pressure on. Now that he's actually missing a font, he needs to make some progress over here. And he does. Try to make some progress. He has that font captured for the moment. Young Imp going to eat up the Elusive Leap proc. Actually, that Flood sort of knocked his... it knocked the Summoner into double tap range. Kind of funny. And then Masochist going to contest back versus that Infiltrator. Maxarek sort of just waiting around there until he gets a relocation in. I guess Summoner could do that instead of making a second hit. Yeah, Tiny's gonna make the smart play. He's gonna get a hit with Masochist. He's gonna relocate Maxarek forward. Maybe? Would that be too bold? And I feel like he'd be fine doing that because the Censorat doesn't have his bravery active because there's no other Furk within the radius. So he'll only have 10 damage. Summoner doing an Invigorate, letting Masochist get 2 hits, and a Widowmaker for a 3rd hit. It's not quite enough. Maybe he can... No. I guess relocates on cooldown? Or maybe he didn't want to. Instead, he's just going to grant an aura to it. Probably best to keep Maxarek safe, although the problem is the way Maxarek is sort of positioned here against the backside of the map, he's going to be left as a prime target for the slam of that Void Mage. So he portals to try and avoid that, but I mean, he's just going to get knocked back into the shrine now if Alakhami positions properly. Probably better than getting knocked back into the wall here, the invisible wall of the map, and taking more damage. This way also puts him in attack range of that Furk Mimic with 19 damage. So mimicking the Maxeric. Of course, imitation is the highest form of flattery, and I mean, come on, look at this guy. How could you not be envious of this? This is what peak performance looks like. Sorry to have to break it to you boys, but this is what peak performance looks like. Anyway, dead memes aside, we've got Mindcaller distracting that that deceiver yet again. And there's the lemur. There's the lemur that stole that font. I knew it was a lemur. What else would it be? And so we've got a Mindcaller also with initiative taking that font back, having it rightfully belong to Alakhami. And the lemur getting knocked into the lava there by the Void Mage. He's going to take a little bit of extra lava damage there from the and then I mean he won't die quite yet, but he will be in prime killing position next turn. It's hard to escape the Void Mage on maps like this, or basically anything with teleport, Elven Mage or Lich King, because they can just teleport over the lava. And your champions, like, you'd have to cross the lava to get to them, unless you have the same kind of mobility. So anything with leap or teleport does really well on the on this map. But, Tiny managing to take back the bottom font for the moment, although Furk Censoret will just walk right in there. He'll probably die, but eventually, I mean, he has 60 HP in Tough 2, so it won't be that long before he dies. Tiny will have to invest a lot of AP killing it, especially now that the Sacred Temple is dropped for contest. So no more possesses in that Deceiver's future. Yeah, we might see another sacrifice. Maybe Tiny will go in to drop some kind of relic to contest and then sacrifice that Deceiver. Or maybe just move it back over here and sacrifice it anyway so that Summoner can get the globe. Maxeric teleporting back to his original position and getting a hit. I'd probably just one tap the temple, right? I mean, he's got 20 damage. What's he gonna do? He should one tap the temple, right? And then send the Masochist up to block the Censoret. Problem is, if he stands on that water, he might risk a drown. But I mean, I can't really see. I guess a drown would probably be worth it at this point because it would win him the font. Like if he were to drown, say, I don't know, the Summoner and then kill the 26 HP Masochist some other way, like Maxeric wouldn't be able to take the font back because he's stationary. I mean, you've got basically 3 fonts. So, Tiny deciding to stay off of the water, inviting that Censoret into play. Yep, he also decides to contest that font with a Griefbearer's Fountain. And, a Price of Victory. Alright, what's going to go down here? Gets a hit onto the Mindcaller. Huh. He doesn't have another stealth champion, does he? There's no way he used Price of Victory to recontest that font somehow, or this font. Like, I can't be that bad at commentating that I missed 2 stealth deploys in a row. Okay, no, thank God. So, Price of Victory just to, maybe he did it for the HP. But I mean, he might have actually done it for the HP to keep his Deceiver alive a little bit longer so that Fountain could heal it up. But it looks like Mindcaller is going to get Tome of the Arcanus. Interesting. So he's going to get, he's going to probably play a spell here, right? To give it 1 AP for tempo. And then get the finishing hit on this 10 HP Deceiver. That could be it. So Tome of the Arcanus granting Teleport, Metamorphosis, Grant Flight, and Tempo. All for, I think it's 30 Nora. But you do have to equip it on Wizards only. But it's still that's a nice little suite of abilities for just 30 Nora. I'm glad Alakhami is representing that rune. I've always felt it was a little underrated. Got Psychic Attack, yep, and so the spell he used was Bubble of Protection, actually on the Furk Mimic over here. Not on the Censoret like I thought he might. So Mastermind going to get the finishing tap onto that Lemur. And with both of Tiny's font contesters down, I would probably assume a surrender is in the future. I mean, he's got the Maxeric just sort of stuck there, and then Mimic is going to start wailing on the shrine. Like after, like, Tiny used a POV, so I mean that 19 damage Mimic is going to wreck face on that shrine. But like I said earlier, Tiny not really the type to surrender. He's going to probably play it to the end. Maybe get a kill on that Censoret. He can't Widowmaker because of Temple Impenetrable still being in play. Gets a double hit with Maxeric, but that's not quite enough because of tough 2 and 3 defense. He's going to get another 9 here. Maybe a Grant Aura for another 4. I don't really see it happening. If he could Widowmaker, then maybe he could use a spell to kill it and then walk into the font, but oh, well, alright. So there's Jewel's Fireball. Is he going to forget about Impenetrable? Yeah, he probably forgot about Impenetrable, didn't he? He's going to grant an Aura, but that's not going to do it. Tough 2 will cancel out the Chard. Okay, so there's an... Alright, well, there's an Animosity. So, Animosity dealing 7 loss of life, actually. Animosity not dealing damage. So that does let him get the kill on the Censoret, but it was 2 spells for that. And I think that's the first kill Tiny has made with Dark Summons in play. So he still needs to make 1 more in order to get a champion for free. And yep, Mimic just going to town on that shrine. Probably could have done a power attack and then 2 normal attacks on the following turn. Or maybe on the next turn he'll do a power attack and then a normal attack. I'll have the AP for that. But then, yeah, the Void Mage can probably just come in. Void Mage, yeah, he can't double tap. I was thinking maybe with a Horn of Order he could have gotten the kill this turn, but it doesn't seem like that'll be happening. Tiny definitely being taken to course here by Alakhami, and it's Alakhami playing full Furk too. No, not like the cheesy Psychic style Furk, just Furk, good champions. I mean, he did have 1 Psychic Blast, I guess, but you know, he could be forgiven that for running, you know, Furk Masterminds and Mind Colors and whatever else. But still, not a bad game played by Tiny. I mean, he got that font that I missed, and he held on for quite a while. And, you know, props to him for running Masochist, trying new things from Underdepths. It looks like maybe we'll see a kill on the Masochist here. He's going to sap some AP with Energy Thief. Sap a little more. Maybe he'll try and do a Soul Rack for loss of life, because that goes through Tough. And I believe it goes... No, it shouldn't go through Masochist as well, because Masochist says on attack, not on damage. But no, he paralyzes the Masochist instead. That Masochist has lived for quite some time, I will say. As she should. And then Mindcaller doing a little book burn just to keep a sacrifice or retribution from happening. There we go, there's the Dark Summons, bringing forth an Altered Lemur. So Altered Lemur coming in, maybe if this game goes on long enough, we'll see the Lemur snag that font again. And Invigorate coming down from the Summoner, letting Maxeric portal, and wow, a Messenger just sliding right into that font's DMs with initiative and reinforcement. There's the Set Ablaze, keeping that Mimic from wailing on the shrine for another turn. Tiny doing everything he possibly can to stay in this game at the moment. But I wonder, no, you can't get rid of Consumed by Fire. I mean, even if he... Well, actually, I'm pretty sure Pacified will leave if you could. But FS has no Spot Cleanse or Spot Dispel option, so that won't be happening. I mean, they have Cleansing Mist, but obviously he didn't use it, so... Masochist, still chilling, 15 HP. Probably be her last turn, though. And Furk Mindcaller, having regained control of that font, will now join the fray over here. I'm keeping an eye on this font. I want to see if I missed something else. But we've got Executor coming down, and Executor is probably one of my favorite Furk. I like him specifically for one singular play, which I feel like it's a little late in the game for, as Masochist goes down. But basically what you can do is, if you have enough other Furk deployed, it's usually like, I think like 4 or 5 other Furks. So basically in the mid-game, you drop Executor and then you drop a Spore Pox onto a champion like this Messenger. And then you use Corruption, and Corruption gives a loss of life attack. So you can use, like, you can double tap with the Executor and get through the Impervious that Spore Pox normally has. So basically, it's a 40 Nora instant kill with Executor in play. Pretty nice tech. I haven't seen anyone else run it, but maybe Alakhami has seen the light and decided to include it for that purpose. He does have Corruption, so he might actually be running Spore Pox. I wanna see a Spore Pox kill on something. Come on, Alakhami, you can do it. Go Spore Pox kill that Messenger. I know you're running Spore Pox. Everyone agrees that Spore Gill is overpowered, and if you can run a spell that turns things into Spore Gills, I mean, come on, you're sitting pretty. But Tiny gonna wail on that Void Mage a little for the moment. Summon another Imp. And unfortunately, well, he could block with the Summoner, but feel like Alakhami's gonna get in that font anyway. Problem is, oh, Mind Orb. Okay, so Mind Orb actually pacifies the Maxeric, leaving that Furk Mimic free to hit that Shrine. And Tiny's going to have to Transfigure, and nope, instead he decides to call the game. So nicely played by both, and we'll see everyone in the next one.